What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, and in this one we have how just living in Europe made me healthy. Just living there, just being in that Europe air, that Europe presence, I became healthier. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. Let's find out what's so great about Europe.
Did just living in Europe help me get into better shape? The results may surprise you. I'm not proud to show this photo, but like many Americans during the pandemic, I ate all of my favorite comfort foods and enjoyed many nooner beers, which means having a beer at noon. So about 8 months ago, I made a video about how on average, Americans are much more obese than Europeans. And I vowed in that video to eat a primarily healthy vegan diet, quit drinking beer, and exercise as much as I could. And then I would show you guys the results in 6 months. But I have to be honest, when I arrived to Europe, I didn't stick to any of these things. I drank copious amounts of wine and beer and ate all of the delicacies in the different countries that I had visited. I wasn't just gonna pass up on the pain au chocolat in Paris or the duck and dumplings in Prague. What, are you crazy?
I feel like, you leave the country, you go travel, bro, and you all these different new food experiences around you, you can't pass that up. You got to try any and everything, anything that looks absolutely incredible that you can't really get back home. With Europe, you have so many different countries, so many different cultures, so many different foods. You got to try it all. I'm not mad at you.
I mean, could you blame me? In Europe, 15% of Europeans are obese, whereas in the United States, 36% of Americans are obese. That is a massive number difference. Is it because the food in Europe is much more high quality and doesn't add things like additive fillers, GMOs, and chemicals? Is it contributing?
I would say yes. I would say Europeans walk a lot more, and where Americans literally drive everywhere. Europeans will walk to the market. They'll get the food. You know what I'm saying? They'll do public transportation, everything, but they'll walk to public transportation. They're getting their steps in some way, somehow. So you throw that in there, and and portion sizes. The portion sizes are a lot different. We eat a lot more, a lot bigger portions. And so I feel like those three things definitely create obesity level in America.
Attributed to the amount of coffee and cigarettes Europeans consume? Is it attributed to the amount of walking that Europeans do that Americans don't? Turns out it's a combination of all of these. The United States food industry is more about quantity than quality. They add many preservatives and fillers to make it cheaper and last longer. I had a friend from the United States
and somehow we still paying more than they pay in Europe for food. Make it make sense. Make it make sense that we adding all this stuff to make the food cheaper, but still paying more. I don't get it.
Had Crohn's disease, and when he ate bread in the United States, he had massive medical issues. But when he came to Europe, he could eat as much gluten and bread as he wanted to. What's the deal with that?
It was important for me to know my family history, and honestly, I didn't know that much. So I collaborated with MyHeritage, and they helped me build a family tree. Wow, so I'm inputting everyone from my family tree, and now I'm gonna add a pic.
The fact that there are massive aisles of cereal.
First pinned comment.
The fact that there are massive aisles of cereals that are just made up of corn and sugar absolutely baffles me. There was a point in time where the marketing in the United States said that cereals were a healthy breakfast. Now, in more recent times, you've had these organic grocery stores showing up all over the United States. But it costs a premium to shop at places like Whole Foods or Erewhon, and you pretty much have to be rich to be super healthy in the United States.
That's how I feel. That is truly true. I mean, you can figure it out. Don't get me wrong. I'm not using that excuse. You can figure out how to eat healthy on a low budget, but it's so much easier to figure out how to eat unhealthy on a low budget.
Whereas Europe has been doing this kind of food forever, and even Mexico has been doing farm to table forever. And I also think it is the culture as well, where people in the United States choose the easier, faster option. It's such a fast-paced life in the United States that sometimes it's easier just to go through a drive-through. Now, there are fast food drive-thrus in Europe, but most people choose different, healthier options and eat fast food in moderation. And the fast food in Europe is much smaller portioned than the ones in the United States. But there's no doubt that when I'm in Europe, I walk so much more than I do in the United States. And I think this is by design. During the automotive boom in the early 20th century, many deals were done to invest heavily into highways instead of trains. And that's how America became such a car-centric culture. Yes. And I do think this contributes to...
It's like here, you can't even like walk to places if you wanted to. Like you can't just walk to the store because the streets just... America isn't built for walking to places. Like if you can drive to the park and like take a walk in the park, but you can't walk to the park. You got to drive to the park in order to take your walk. It's the land of cars, the land of automobiles. And then, I don't know, something about the American mindset. Once you get a car, like, you just drive everywhere. Like, for me, for example, my first semester of college, I did not have a car. I had to walk to all of my classes. I didn't have a problem with doing that. Like, but second semester of college, I got a car. And guess who now was not going to make that 5 to 10 minute walk to classes? This guy. This guy was going to start driving around everywhere because just easier, much more convenient that way. And we don't want to talk about me picking up my college weight because it was unlimited cafeteria food. What? You're throwing a kid who had a limited diet growing up. We couldn't afford all the great foods. We couldn't afford to go out too much. Now you're throwing me into a cafeteria with the lunch plan that says, or with the food plan that says I can eat as much as I want. I can drink as much soda as I want. Oh my God, it's a dangerous combo.
Europeans walking a lot more on average than Americans. So after living in Europe for a little over a year, how did it affect me personally? Now, it's important to highlight that I live in Southern Europe, Portugal to be exact. It is very sunny here and easy to get outside and easy to take walks and hikes and bike rides and go surfing than it is in some other European countries. And for some magical reason, I have no idea how, my body has gone through a transformation. Without really keeping track of my weight or really paying any attention, one day I decided to take a photo in a dressing room and see how it compared with an earlier photo of me. And the results were shocking.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
And what was most interesting is when I went to the doctor. Now, before I had left the United States, I had taken a blood test that showed that my cholesterol levels were elevated. But fast forward 8 months into living in Europe, and I took another blood test, and my cholesterols had lowered. And not even lowered to normal, but lowered to optimal. So what was it exactly that made me so much more healthy? Was it the real food that didn't contain all of these additives, GMOs, and chemicals? Was it that I was living a less stressful life and living in a more slow-paced environment where my cortisol levels weren't so high? Was it that I was walking and moving a lot more than I was in the United States? It could be all of these factors, but one thing I do know for sure is I'm not mad about it. Now, I'm not claiming that if you move to Europe, you will magically lose all of this weight and be super healthy. But for some strange reason, this has been the case for me. And I kind of don't even know how it happened. But if you want to see more content about living in Europe and Portugal specifically, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button because I will be posting content on this channel every single week. This is some guy named Dave in Portugal, and we'll see you next time.
That's so dope. And I 100%, I feel like I am in agreement, bro. Here, there's just too much chemicals, too much additives. They put too much stuff into the food in order to mass produce it. Yet, I don't know how we're still paying more than Europeans for like groceries and stuff. That don't make sense if we're putting all this crap in it. But our portion sizes are gigantic compared to Europe's portion sizes. Like, we eat so much, and it's like, when our portions are put in front of us, we don't think, oh, well, I can make this into 2 meals. For the most part, it's almost like we take it as a challenge. Like, your stomach can be literally hurting, but you have like 4 or 5 bites left. you are going to push yourself to the brink to make sure you clean that plate off. Don't ask me why. It's just out of an American mindset. And then again, the exercise is not good. We're not getting our steps in. We're not walking. So there's no physical exercise, and you're eating all that crap. It just makes for a combo that gives America the title of most obese nation in the world. That's what it meant for. Let me know what you guys thought about what he was saying. If you're an American that has traveled to Europe and you've just been healthier, you haven't changed your eating habits, you haven't really changed, you just in Europe and you're just eating and doing the same thing you were done in America, but now your body's healthier. Talk to me. If you enjoyed that, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and check out that next one. See you guys next time.